Whoa. Much bigger than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got a lot of
You've seen
vehicles
pictures
here.
though, right?
I have, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. Impressive.
It's not as tidy as I like it to be, but it's just the
You're
nature
always a
of it.
perfectionist, right?
Little bit, yeah.
Can you show me around?
Yeah, so coming in, like this is a car we just finished. We'll start that up later and maybe have you drive it down the block
Okay.
if you're up to it. And then these are done. That's a 74 that we've done, a 69, 71. So these are all done or waiting to be done, actually. This one here, we haven't even touched. We've had it for 4 years. It's a 67. Haven't even touched it yet. The whole idea was for us to bring the cars in here, tear them apart in that room over there, and then really just send everything out for refurbishment, reconstruction to interior people and to mechanics, engine builders, transmission builders, etc. And then just bring it all back and reassemble it here.
Right.
But as it turns out, we decided we needed to control quality and cost. We started doing our own metal work over there, and in fact, we have a paint shop too now in Newmarket, where we paint the cars ourselves too. So we control everything now. But some things still go out, like interiors go to California, wheels go to California. Most of the real experts are down that way or in Florida.
And what about the engines?
Engines we try to do locally, but some are being done on Long Island. Our friend Peter Putzinger. So we have we're amassing a collection, really, This is a car that was finished. It's a 66, so only the second year of a 911 in North America, We get some early cars over there, the 356s.
Right.
Different years of the black one is a 57 Speedster, then the 64 Red Coupe, the 62 Cabriolet, the blue one, and this 1960, what's called a Carmen Coupe, the white one.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
I've kept the non-Porsches covered.
Right. For today?
For today. Some cars come all the way from Europe, others come from California. Some are local. They're all, like this one here, this orange one. It was in an underground, in a building close to the art gallery in downtown Toronto, and we hounded the owner for over 2 years to finally give it up and sell it to us. It's a 68S. It's mostly original. It's not. We haven't touched it. So the question is, do you redo it or just make it a nice driver with the patina on it? So this was typical. It was bought by a serviceman in Germany, and when he came back here, he brought it with him.
Right.
Because this model was not for North America. That's my old race car. You've seen that.
Right.
This is also an all-original car. We like to use it as a sort of a sample to see how things should really look, the finishes, and we try to replicate the undercoating texture of the various years that these cars were made, and so we need to have samples for that.
Okay.
But this car, you can see, it's so well loved. The paint is worn through from getting washed too many times. On the roof line here too. But that makes it an honest car, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's questionable whether a completely restored car is more valuable than an all-original car.
And that's an Auto Union there?
Yeah, I call that the German Thunderbird.
Very similar, actually, yeah.
Well, I guess the Germans must have fallen in love with those American lines, right?
Yeah.
This is a 3-cylinder, 2-stroke.
Really?
It truly sounds like a lawnmower. It's 1,000 cc's.
So what other treasures?
Well, we have the last year's slant nose, 1989. It's been somewhat modified in California for power and speed, making about 600 horsepower.
Nice wing in the back.
Yeah, and then the big wheels and brakes, so we're contemplating taking it back to stock. This is quite special. This is a first-year turbo. Came from San Francisco, but it's a custom order color, custom order wheels with those colors in there. That was to match the race cars of the time, the 3-liter RS that they had. And also it was ordered with bright trim instead of black trim. This is a 73 RS. Came from Europe originally, but we bought it locally.
Okay.
I've known the car for a long time. It's got a good pedigree, you know exactly the history of it, which is sometimes, you know, a big factor with these cars.
Yes.
You don't know if they're the real thing or if they were, you know, redone or not. This car is largely original.
Right. And how did you check that out?
Well, in this case, I just know I have the ownership history, and there were only 3 owners.
Okay.
So, but some of these cars got flipped so much and back and forth across the pond. And, you know, we have one car here that was converted to right-hand drive and then converted back to left-hand drive. Mm-hmm. But we can see the traces of that. Okay. So over there we have what we call the dirty room. That's where we were going to take everything apart and just, you know, keep the mess contained in there. Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, then we started doing metal work, and we bought this bench that's like a frame machine that, you know, body shops use those with chains to straighten chassis back out and that kind of thing. We don't use it for that. We use it to reconstruct a car on it. This is a race car restoration. A little slow going, trying to find the right parts, and now during COVID it's even more difficult, you know. So we have a full-time metal worker, and that's, you know, what this bench is for. So we have these just on the dollies once they don't need to be on the platform anymore, when the structure is solid, you know. Yeah. But some of the cars we need to take the roof off and put it back on, and so you need that to be a very stable platform, right?
So what would you say your specialty is? Because I see a lot of cars here going through different forms of restoration.
Well, really we do everything, but our forte is to, you know, not only research to make sure that everything's done right and correct in textures and colors, etc., but the finishing work, you know, which takes hundreds, if not thousands of hours on each car. So a car typically might take, say, 250 to 550 hours to reconstruct the metal on it. Right. And then you'll have 500 hours again for body and paint work. And then you'll have 1,000 to 1,500 hours of reassembly. Okay.
Then you go through the quality control?
Yes, that's me. That'll be me. Yeah, and then when the cars are painted off-site, then they come back in here and get reassembled. So this car here, I bought on eBay, actually. It's another 68S that didn't come here officially, but again, probably a serviceman brought it over. Mm-hmm. It was flared, it had a roll cage in it. It was somebody's idea of starting a race car project, but it never happened, you know? Yeah. So this car, we actually did have to take the roof off, etc., because there were multiple layers of sheet metal from multiple repairs over the years. It was just incredibly bad. Yeah. It's coming back together. That one is local, from Arthur, Ontario. Again, somebody took it apart and never got around to it again, you know. It's a 69S. We try to do S's mostly because those are the most valuable in the end, and they take no more work or investment than, in terms of parts and labor, than the lowlier models do, you know. This is another RS, a 73 RS that came from Holland. It had a lot of things wrong with it, but it's coming together now. It's going to be very nice. I love the color on this. That's another 69S. It was a custom order color. And then this is a 67S. First year for that color. In fact, it wasn't an option yet. This was a custom order on this car. Right. And then the following year, in 68, it became a color that you could order.
More popular, right?
Like that 68S that's out there, or even like that 69 up there. Okay. Tangerine.
And how many would have come with a sunroof?
Well, you know what? We don't have many sunroof cars. We only have 3 of them out of. We're working on 15 cars right now. Right. And only 3 have sunroofs. Yes. In a way, I'm glad, because sunroofs are difficult. There are processes now with the different paints that we have to use to be environmentally compliant, you need to put on a lot more product so that the tolerances are now different and things don't fit anymore. Like that car, that Bahama yellow as it's called, it has as many as 7 coats of color in places. So then everything changes,
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
This one was local too. This was a 71S. It was silver with some flares on it. It was a track car for somebody. So taking this back to original as well. Everything is like brand new.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the brakes and suspension, everything is refurbished. And so in effect, every car that we restore, you're building a custom car from scratch. That's really what you're doing. And that's why it takes so many hours.
And who does the electrical work here?
Davey,
Yeah.
that you said hello to. Yeah, he does a lot of it, most of it. There are specialists, and there's especially one in Europe. Now also a Canadian company does it, where you can buy reproduction wiring harnesses. But we try to use original things, and some of them over time have been altered, for that killer stereo installation, that kind of thing.
Some cool posters around the place.
Yeah. Zachary loves to try and pick them up. They're hard to find now. They're getting very expensive.
Where'd you get them?
At swap meets, Yeah, mostly at swap meets.
Right.
This is our oldest car here right now. It's a 65 sunroof coupe. We believe it's one of the first 5 sunroof 911s ever. So it's going to be very pretty. It's a nice red. The thing with these early cars is that they were in a way prototypes. Everything was kind of in an experimental stage. So you'll find things halfway through the production change, in how they did certain things, what they used for parts. So Herman has to figure out, okay, this is a mid-year car for 1965. Like, did it have this screw or that screw?
Right.
That is, remember I had an orange race car for vintage racing that I smashed up at Mosport? That's coming back together now.
Restoration.
Yes, but it's not going to be raced again. So this is, it's finicky work. They're doing, like, fitting these fog lamps through the grille and the wiring, and putting on the front bumper assembly like that is a 2-man job for a couple of days. So like I said, we try to make them exactly how they came out of the factory back in the day for the various years.
Right.
Everybody says, of course, that they all look the same. They never changed from 64 to 85 or 89 rather, but there are a lot of little changes.
So you're getting your parts from all over, mainly the US?
Yeah, there's eBay, but then there's also what's called the early 911S registry. So this is, enthusiasts that discuss things, but also sell their parts, buy other people's parts, etc. And then there's swap meets. But yeah, like through early S registry, we end up buying things from Europe even, if we need it, from Australia, wherever wherever it is, if we need it. I don't know if you noticed over there's some tool kits over there. So again, the tool kit has to match the car. Like, different years had different tools and the different tool kits. So, it's all a little bit crazy, really. So that, in a nutshell, is it, Tony.
Okay, perfect.
So that's what we do for fun and giggles. Takes a little coaxing on these.